Hello everyone, welcome to today's news chapter. Let us begin with the prelims practice question of the day and then we'll move to the important topics. Take a look at this question. It is a question from geography. What explains the eastward flow of the equatorial countercurrent? So if you have studied the movement of currents in the ocean, you would be able to answer this question. You just have to think what are all the factors that affect the movement of a current. So four options are provided here. The first option, Earth's rotation on its axis, convergence of two equatorial currents. Third one, difference in salinity of water. Finally, occurrence of the belt of calm near the equator. Occurrence of the belt of calm means there is no movement at all. So that cannot cause a current to move in a particular direction. That is wrong. A difference in salinity of water. If the salinity increases, density will increase. So it will go down, not sideways. So this option is wrong. Convergence of two equatorial currents. This is not even related to the question. The question is asking about one equatorial countercurrent. Here it is telling that two equatorial currents are converging, and that is the reason. So this is also not an option. Even with general knowledge, you can easily answer this question. So the Earth's rotation on its axis is the answer for this. Let us move towards the topic of the day. India-Greece relationship. In the recent times, India has been trying to increase its relationship with East European countries. One of the most important country is Greece. Another one is Italy. So these countries and their relationship with India is very important. India and Greece relations have been elevated to strategic partnership, a very important point. Strategic partnership means even a very important military equipments, technologies, those technologies which are very important for the growth of the nation, defense of the nation, these things can be traded between each other. So both the sides are expected to take forward the talks of India, Middle East, Europe economic corridor also. India and the Middle Eastern countries and the European countries have been trying to build a corridor which will link India's important cities such as Bombay directly to the Middle Eastern countries, and from there to the European countries. It will result in increasing India's trade perspective with these countries. So India and Greece are in talks to decide how to take these things forward. Our Prime Minister visited Greece in 2023, and they both the leaders, that is, our Prime Minister and the Prime Minister of Greece, came to a conclusion that we need to increase Greek businesses in India. Important business leaders or MNCs who are there operating in Greece are invited to India to invest here. So, to increase the foreign direct investment in India. And both the leaders have agreed to set a target to double bilateral trades by 2030. So these 2 points are very important. One point is mentioned here. We both have strategic partnership at present. And now both the leaders have also agreed that we should try to develop our trade in such a way it will be doubled by 2030. India and Greece have been negotiating a migration and mobility agreement. Why this agreement? Because we need people from India to go and work in Greece because they have good requirement of skilled workmanship, which is available in India. So we need a migration and mobility agreement so that skilled migration can happen from India to Greece, which will result in development of India's foreign direct investment or people who are depositing money from foreign countries. Recently, there has been a lot of news related to space missions of India. INSAT 3DS was discussed some days ago. We have also discussed in our news charter. So, from prelims point of view, when it comes to space, one of the most important topic is the type of orbits. Because whenever any satellite is launched, it is placed in certain kind of orbit, and you are in a position to study about it. You should be knowing about it. You might get questions. So first and the most important type of orbit is geosynchronous orbit. It is a low inclination orbit about Earth, having a period of 23 hours and 56 minutes. That is the total rotation time of Earth. So geosynchronous orbit is an orbit which is around the Earth. When a satellite is placed in the geosynchronous orbit, it will completely move towards the Earth. It will finish its one revolution around the Earth in 23 hours, 56 minutes and 4 seconds. So because it revolves around the Earth, it appears to remain above Earth at a constant longitude. So geosynchronous orbit is an orbit which moves from north to south. So consider the globe and consider that a body is revolving around the globe from north to south in this direction. So when it is revolving in that direction, it looks like this particular object returns to a particular place on Earth every day at a particular time. Because it is revolving, its time period is the same as the rotation of the Earth. So this is the reason. So the spacecraft returns to the same point in the sky at the same time every day. For example, at 12 o'clock, if it is reaching Delhi, every day it will reach Delhi at 12 o'clock in the noon because it is revolving around the Earth from north to south direction, and Earth is also rotating itself. So this is the reason. So geosynchronous orbit is very important. Spy satellites, important weather satellites, etc., are placed in geosynchronous orbit. Geostationary orbit is also called a geosynchronous equatorial orbit. Geosynchronous and geostationary are almost the same. The difference is in geosynchronous orbit, it is revolving from north to south. In geostationary orbit, a satellite is moving around the Earth along its equator. So in geosynchronous, it is along the longitude, vertical direction. In geostationary orbit, it is revolving around the equator of the Earth. And these orbits have 36,000 kilometer distance from the Earth's equator, and they are known for telecommunication satellites because they are located at a particular point that is along the equator and it is far away, so it is easier for signals to reach the satellite and then come back to the Earth. So geostationary orbit and geosynchronous orbit, the major difference you should be knowing, we have discussed here. Another important orbit is geosynchronous transfer orbit. Very simple. Transfer means what? It is in a point and from there it is going to get transferred. So geosynchronous or geostationary transfer orbit means a small orbit in which a body is placed. From that orbit, it will move to another bigger orbit. So for example, if you look at this diagram, the satellite will be first placed in this blue color orbit. So it will revolve around the Earth in this blue orbit, and a particular time when it reach here, the topmost point, it will transfer itself or shift itself to another bigger orbit, that is geosynchronous orbit. So between transfer orbit and geosynchronous orbit, the only difference is the transfer orbit is an intermediary orbit. From here, it will go to the other places. So I hope you understand geosynchronous, geostationary, and geosynchronous transfer orbit. Two other important orbits are polar orbit and sun synchronous orbit. Polar orbit, just like the name, this is an orbit which is placed at low altitude between 200 to 1000 kilometer, and it moves from one pole to another pole. It is almost similar to the geostationary orbit because even geostationary orbit moves from north to south. Even polar orbit moves from north to south. The difference is it is in a very low altitude, 200 to 1000 kilometer. It is generally used for surveillance, spy satellites. Sun synchronous orbit. The difference with sun synchronous orbit is it is put at a position with respect to the position of the sun. So in all other orbits, Earth is the reference point. Any other satellite is placed based on the reference of Earth. But in a sun synchronous orbit, sun is the reference. It is placed in such a way throughout the time, sun rays will always fall on the satellite. That is the only difference. So SSO also travel over the polar regions and are synchronous with the sun. They are synchronized to always be in the same fixed position relative to the sun. The satellite always visit the same spot at the same local time. For example, passing the city of Paris every day at noon. So this is very simple. You can know about it. The only difference is here sun is the reference. In all other places, Earth is the reference. So these are all the different types of orbits which we need to know. Extremely important for prelims examination. Spur-winged lapwing. Spur-winged lapwing is a very important bird which was spotted recently in Warangal. The most significant point about this bird is it is the first time this bird has been spotted not just in India but in the entire subcontinent. Even though this bird is very famous and exists in a very high number in Africa, it is the first time it is spotted in India. So this is a positive point for us. It is something which we should be happy about because species from other planets are visiting our country because there is a good habitat here. So when a animal or a bird migrates from its home country to another country for specific reasons, we need to study about it. Two reasons can be there. One, either this country, that is India, can be having very good habitats to house these birds. Second, maybe their home habitat is under threat. So this is the demerit. Maybe their habitat in Africa is under threat. So that should be considered, and this is why international communities should come together to identify these threats and benefits and work according to it. From UPSC examination point of view, whenever any flora or fauna comes in the news, we need to know about certain things. One of the most important thing is the IUCN status. This particular bird, that is spur-winged lapwing, has the IUCN status of least concern. So this should be known. It was spotted for the first time in Warangal. It is native to North Africa, Middle East, and Mediterranean region. The most important physical features is it has white color cheek. You can see it in the diagram. White color cheek feathers. Head have black color. Brown colored wings will be there, and it has long black legs. So these are the most important point. Let's move to the next topic, global stock taking. So what exactly is global stock take? So you must have gone through or you must have been familiar with this topic when we study about environment and ecology, especially about Paris Agreement, UNFCCC, etc. Global stock take is a simple accounting mechanism. So the UNFCCC was signed in Paris, and in the Paris Agreement, it was mentioned that we should try to reduce the global temperature rise to 1.5 degrees Celsius by the end of this century. So whether we are in a path to achieve this target is what global stocktake tells you. So it is to access the world's progress towards the goal of Paris Agreement. Every 5 years, a global stocktake will be done. So this time, that is in 2023, the first global stocktake happened. The next stocktake will happen in 2028. First stocktake started in 22, but it got over in 2023. It was in COP 28. The first global stocktake was released. What did it tell? It told that we are not in a position to reach the targets which were mentioned in Paris Agreement. So we need more finances. We need the international countries to work more towards reducing the global temperature rise. Stocktake calls for systems transformation. So this is very important point. The stocktake tells that system transformation means small minimal changes is not enough. We need to completely change our lifestyle in such a way we give more importance to sustainable development. Whole society, whole economy should be changing. We should be giving more importance to um, importance to sustainable development, importance in reducing the global warming components or elements, the uh, elements or mechanisms which are causing pollution in the world. So these kind of things should be reduced. So climate resilience and development aligned with low greenhouse gas emissions are required. So these are all the most important points you should be knowing. A practice question for mains examination: critically examine the performance of parties to the UNFCCC in working towards reducing the global temperature rise. So first you will mention about the Paris Climate Agreement, what is mentioned there, and then you will talk about what measures the international communities have been taking. So not just about India, about the greater measures taken by all the international countries or communities as a whole has to be mentioned here. Prelims pointers. One important fact which can be asked in prelims examination about the Jnanpith Award. Certain important facts you should be knowing. It is the highest literary award in India. English is also a language for which Jnanpith Award can be given apart from other Indian languages. Jnanpith Award is not given by the government of India. It is given by the Bharatiya Jnanpith, which is a cultural organization. It is a private organization. It is not by the government. But the most important point here is Jnanpith Award can be given only to Indian citizens. It carries a cash award of 11 lakh. A citation will be there. A bronze replica of Vagdevi, that is Saraswati, will be provided. In this year, in 2024, the Jnanpith Award has been or is going to be provided to Gulzar and a Sanskrit scholar called Jagat Guru Ram Bhadracharya. So these points should be known. Personalities may be important, may not be important, but important facts about the award is very important for your examination. Study about it. So that will be all for today. All the best. Let's meet tomorrow.